war. Just hearing the word is enough to send chills down our spines. For decades, the fear of a third world war has loomed over humanity like a dark shadow. But now, in 2024, that fear feels more real than ever. Across the globe, tensions are rising. In Ukraine, the war rages on, drawing in international powers and fueling new conflicts. In the Indo-Pacific, China's actions near Taiwan have the world on edge. Meanwhile, the Middle East remains a constant battleground, with fresh conflicts threatening to pull in major nations. And behind it all, the ever-present threat of nuclear weapons adds an even more dangerous layer to the chaos. With so many crises escalating at once, experts are asking a chilling question. Are we standing at the edge of World War III? Could one wrong move, one miscalculation, set off a chain reaction leading to global catastrophe? In this video, we'll take a hard look at the current geopolitical landscape, the major flashpoints that could ignite a global war, and what this all means for the future of humanity. Should we be preparing for the worst? Or is there still hope to pull back from the brink? Stick around, because what we're about to discuss might be the most important thing you hear this year. In the early stages, the world watched as Russia launched its invasion, expecting a swift victory. But Ukraine, backed by Western military aid, mounted a fierce resistance. Over the past 2 years, the war has turned into a prolonged struggle, with no clear end in sight. And now, NATO's involvement is becoming more direct than ever. Recently, French President Emmanuel Macron made a shocking statement. He suggested the possibility of sending Western troops to Ukraine. This has sparked intense debate. Would NATO really deploy forces? If so, what would that mean? Many fear this could trigger a direct confrontation between NATO and Russia, something the world has desperately tried to avoid. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin has drawn clear red lines, and he's warned that if NATO crosses them, there could be nuclear consequences. These are not empty threats. Russia has already moved tactical nuclear weapons closer to the battlefield, signaling that it is willing to escalate. But this war isn't just about Ukraine anymore. It's reshaping global alliances. Russia has been strengthening ties with China, North Korea, and Iran, forming what some call a new axis of power, a coalition that stands directly against the West. China, while officially neutral, has been increasing economic and military cooperation with Russia. North Korea is reportedly supplying weapons and artillery, and Iran, known for its drone technology, has been providing Russia with advanced weaponry. This growing alliance is alarming for the West. If tensions continue to rise, could this war expand beyond Ukraine and drag the world into an even larger conflict? Right now, the situation remains dangerously unpredictable. Western nations are balancing on a razor's edge, offering support to Ukraine without triggering an all-out war with Russia. But with nuclear threats looming, shifting alliances, and increasing military actions, the risk of escalation is greater than ever. So the big question remains, are we heading toward World War III? Or is there still a way to pull back from the brink? Only time will tell. While the world's attention is fixed on Ukraine, another crisis is rapidly unfolding, this time in Asia. For years, China has made its intentions clear. It considers Taiwan part of its territory and has repeatedly threatened to bring the island under its control, by force if necessary. But now, in 2024, those threats feel more real than ever. Tensions in the region are at an all-time high. Chinese military aircraft are crossing into Taiwan's air defense zone almost daily. Naval confrontations in the South China Sea are increasing, and China's massive military buildup suggests that it's actively preparing for a future conflict. The United States, on the other hand, has vowed to defend Taiwan. President Biden has made it clear multiple times that if China invades, the U.S. will intervene militarily, something no American president has explicitly stated before. But what does that really mean? A war over Taiwan wouldn't just be a regional conflict. It could spiral into a full-scale war between the world's two largest superpowers, the US and China. And if that happens, the consequences would be catastrophic, not just for Asia, but for the entire world. China's military might, China, has been rapidly expanding its navy, air force, and missile technology. In fact, China now has the largest navy in the world, and it's still growing. It has developed hypersonic missiles capable of evading US defenses and striking targets with unprecedented speed. These advancements have shifted the balance of power in the Pacific, making a potential conflict even more dangerous. At the same time, China has been increasing its military presence on artificial islands in the South China Sea, fortifying them with missile systems, airstrips, and naval bases. These positions give China a strategic advantage, allowing it to control key maritime routes and project power across the region. The U.S. response. In response, the United States has been stepping up its own military presence. American warships are frequently patrolling the region, conducting freedom of navigation operations to challenge China's territorial claims. The U.S. has also been strengthening alliances with key partners like Japan, Australia, the Philippines, and South Korea, creating a network aimed at countering Chinese aggression. In 2024, Washington announced new military deployments to the Pacific, including advanced fighter jets, missile systems, and additional naval forces. Joint military drills with allies have intensified, sending a clear message to Beijing. If you invade Taiwan, expect a fight. What would a US-China war look like? A Chinese invasion of Taiwan would likely start with a massive missile strike, targeting Taiwan's defenses, air bases, and key infrastructure. This would be followed by a naval blockade and an amphibious assault, one of the most complex military operations in modern history. The US and its allies would then have to decide, do they intervene immediately or risk letting Taiwan fall? If the US joins the fight, the war could quickly spread across the Pacific. Battles could erupt in the South China Sea, the Philippines, and even US bases in Japan and Guam. Cyber attacks, economic warfare, and possibly even nuclear threats could escalate the conflict beyond anything the world has seen since World War II. The global impact. A war between the US and China wouldn't just be a military disaster, it would devastate the global economy. Taiwan produces over 60% of the world's semiconductors, the tiny chips that power everything from smartphones to fighter jets. A war would disrupt this supply, sending tech industries into chaos. The global supply chain, already fragile from past crises, would be shattered. China controls critical manufacturing hubs, and any conflict would cause massive shortages worldwide. Energy markets would be thrown into turmoil. Trade routes through the South China Sea, which handle 1/3 of global shipping, would be blocked or disrupted. In short, a US-China war would send shockwaves through every part of the global economy, affecting food, energy, technology, and financial markets worldwide. Are we seeing the early stages of a Pacific war? Right now, both the US and China are preparing for the possibility of war, even if neither side wants it. The biggest danger? A miscalculation. One mistake, a naval collision, a misinterpreted missile test, or an accidental clash between fighter jets, could set off a chain reaction that spirals into an all-out war. So, are we witnessing the early stages of a Pacific war that could escalate into World War III? For now, diplomacy is still holding, but barely. The coming months and years will be critical in determining whether the world heads toward peace or catastrophe. The Middle East is a powder keg, and it's closer than ever to exploding. For decades, the region has been plagued by conflicts, but in 2024, tensions have reached a breaking point. The Israel-Hamas war has already escalated far beyond Gaza, drawing in powerful players like Hezbollah, Iran, and the Houthis. With each passing day, the risk of a wider war increases, a war on multiple fronts. In the north, Hezbollah, a powerful militant group backed by Iran, has launched relentless attacks on Israel from Lebanon. Skirmishes along the border have intensified, raising fears of an all-out war between Israel and Hezbollah, something that would dwarf previous conflicts. In Yemen, the Houthis, another Iranian-backed group, have been attacking international shipping routes in the Red Sea, threatening global trade and drawing the U.S. and its allies into the fight. American and British forces have already launched retaliatory strikes, marking a dangerous new phase in the conflict. Iran's nuclear threat. But the biggest danger of all? Iran. For years, Iran has been inching closer to developing a nuclear bomb. Now, experts warn that it may be just months away from achieving nuclear weapons capability. And Israel has made its position clear. It will not allow Iran to go nuclear, no matter what. Israeli officials have repeatedly said they will take military action to stop Iran if necessary. And if that happens, a full-scale Israel-Iran war could erupt. A conflict that wouldn't stay contained to just those two nations. Could this spark a global war? If Israel and Iran go to war, the United States would almost certainly get involved. The U.S. has long been Israel's strongest ally, and it has military bases across the region. Meanwhile, Iran could call upon its allies, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Syria, and even Russia and China, to retaliate. The result? A catastrophic regional war that could spiral into something even bigger. Oil prices would skyrocket, global markets would crash, and nations around the world could be forced to pick sides. The Middle East has always been volatile, but now, with war spreading across multiple fronts, Iran edging closer to nuclear weapons, and major powers getting more deeply involved, the risk of a devastating conflict has never been higher. Are we on the verge of a regional war? Or could this be the spark that ignites a global catastrophe? The world is watching and holding its breath. It's a question that haunts historians, military analysts, and world leaders alike. Are we witnessing the early stages of a third world war? Or is there still time to change course? Lessons from history. History tells us that world wars rarely start overnight. They begin with a chain reaction of alliances, rising tensions, and small conflicts that spiral out of control. This is exactly what we're seeing today. Before World War I, European nations were locked in diplomatic standoffs, proxy conflicts, and military buildups. Most leaders believed war could be avoided, until one moment, one assassination, set off a global catastrophe. Before World War II, economic crises, territorial disputes, and aggressive expansion by major powers created a fragile world order. Leaders miscalculated, believing they could contain the situation until it was too late. Now, in 2024, we're witnessing eerily similar patterns. Multiple conflicts across Ukraine, Taiwan, and the Middle East are escalating simultaneously. Global alliances are hardening. And just like in the past, leaders are taking risks, assuming they can control the consequences. But this time, the stakes are even higher. Unlike the wars of the past, today's conflicts involve nuclear weapons, cyber warfare, and AI-driven combat. Nuclear weapons mean that if war does break out, it won't just be fought with tanks and planes. It could lead to destruction on a scale the world has never seen. Cyber warfare means that an attack could come at any moment, crippling power grids, financial systems, and military operations before a single shot is fired. AI-driven combat means that the decisions of war could be made by algorithms, not humans. And one miscalculation could trigger a global catastrophe. Diplomacy versus disaster. So is there hope? Some experts believe that diplomacy will prevail, that world leaders understand the risks and will step back before it's too late. International pressure, economic interdependence, and the sheer devastation of modern war might be enough to prevent WW3, but others aren't so sure. They warn that the world is following a dangerously familiar trajectory, one that mirrors the days before World War I and World War II. Which path will the world take? The real question isn't just if WW3 could happen, but when. And more importantly, how can we stop it before it's too late? For now, the world holds its breath. The world at a crossroads. The world today is more interconnected and more dangerous than ever before. Every conflict, every crisis sends shockwaves across the globe. And while World War III isn't guaranteed, the risks are very real. From Ukraine to Taiwan, from the Middle East to rising nuclear threats, tensions are escalating in ways we haven't seen in decades. The difference? In today's world, war isn't just fought on battlefields, it's fought in cyberspace, through economic warfare, and with weapons more powerful than ever before. How can we prevent disaster? The best way to avoid global catastrophe isn't through fear. It's through awareness, diplomacy, and collective action. Awareness means understanding the conflicts, recognizing the warning signs, and staying informed. Diplomacy means pushing world leaders to talk, not just prepare for war. Pressure on governments means demanding that they choose peace over reckless escalation. Because history has shown that silence and inaction can be just as dangerous as war itself. What do you think? So now, I ask you, are we on the path to World War III, or will cooler heads prevail? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start a conversation, because these are questions that affect all of us. And if you found this video important, like, share, and subscribe, and share your opinion by comment. The more people understand these threats, the better chance we have of stopping them. Stay safe, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one. And again, don't forget to subscribe for more documentaries videos.